Okay, if I can get a quick mic check. Moved a lot of things around here today. Thanks, GSCT. Thanks, Tracy. Glad to have you back, and welcome to GSCT, by the way, and any other new members in the room. These summer holiday folks that have been DMing me, I feel bad for them. I told everybody very clearly what was setting up, but right, yeah, you were one of our early adopters. I appreciate that, by the way. Yeah, anyway, I've been, screaming it from the rooftops, very loud, so much so that people, they get mad at me. Yeah, so quick review about screaming from the rooftops. So we're doing a study on, we're not launching any new algos or anything. I've got 32 of them, and we have 6 out there and 5 work. 6th volatility one doesn't work. Someday maybe. So it's conventional charting is what volatility is for our members. But so we've got 32 of them out there, and most of those 32 work, but we're not going to launch them anytime soon. But we are working on another one. I'm being honest about it. We're working on tracking GUR calls, and who calls what, and blah, blah, blah. And that's why I'm being a little bit aggressive right now, because I'm trying to show, okay, some people can call, some people can't, some people can trade, some people can't, and because I get the 2 o'clock in the morning DMs about, losing retirement funds and stuff because they were stupid about their trading. So, I try and break through the noise a little bit. So that's what you're seeing. This also, I was thinking about, all the good traders that I know, and I don't see patience as a virtue in trading. I just don't see it. Sure, in investing. But I see hard work and study and smarts and knowing what wins and doesn't win. I don't see patience. I don't see it. But, maybe I'm not seeing it right. But I see that all the time, out there in the world of FinTwit. SPWR went real well this morning. It was a good trade. Actually, there's a bunch here. CAPR, small day trade went well. NFLX, of course, that swing is going well. A lot of the other swings are going well. Oil, that was nice. All before 10 o'clock in the morning. It's a hard day's work for an old man. Especially when you're up all night working on algorithms. Gold, we're going to launch a alert service on that here in the next 24 hours at the most. Sartaj will wake up to that requirement. IPXL, I really like that chart. I was thinking about entering yesterday and I didn't. Hard to get any work done when you can't sit down. It's been tough lately. A lot of, truthfully, there's been a lot of winning. What else do we have to review real quick? Oh, this afternoon, 2 o'clock. So the masterclass, just so you know, the way that I'm going to start the masterclass this afternoon at 2, the first session is going to be very specifically about a set of stocks that we're going to use as our sample pool. So we're going to do basically like a midday, very similar, more in depth. So if there are any that you would like me to consider as being part of that sample group, because that masterclass series could take up to 2 weeks and at an hour and a half a day. It could. And through that 2-week period, I want to be able to follow a sample segment to the market and refer to those specific stocks in our class. So if you have any, bring them in, or message me before then or something like that. I over lunch hour, I take them all that I can and review them. For that particular instance, I might, just I might not take them. Yeah. So yeah, there's the Netflix. So June 26th. So you'll find that, you know, I do my best to be. It's a lot of work to be transparent, man. You got to do a lot of extra work. You know, the other guys don't. It's one thing, real quick. You know, it's one thing to, you know, the market rotates, right? There's rotations through the market. So what we're finding, um, in our study right now of the marketplace, it's amazing actually when you start peeling back the layers of the onion and you start checking on people's calls. It's really amazing, and like big people, like very respected, all the way down to, you know, nothing burgers, but rotation. So, you know, you can go out there and you can talk about, you know, how, you know, whatever rice is going to go up, and meanwhile it, you know, it goes down for 6 months while you're talking about it. Well, eventually it's going to rotate through. So then, you know, then they scream it from the rooftops, and they, you know, their followers, of course, are very happy that now it's, you know, going through rotation. Of course, they call it their call, because they, or their members are very happy because they're so underwater. You know, it's like drowning, getting a breath of fresh air. You're happy, you're ecstatic. But when you're used to winning all the time, very pointed winning, it's just a habit of winning all the time. So, you know, winners know winners, money knows money, failures know failures, crybabies know crybabies, birds of a feather flock together. It's just true. So why doesn't everybody win? They don't win because it's not comfortable to win. So why would people follow people that don't win? Because it's not comfortable to follow somebody that wins if you can't win, or if you don't win. Anybody can win. So the psychology behind it's really cool. But my point is that what happens quite often is that you get rotation, and all of a sudden they look, you know, good. Or the other thing that we're finding, there's another segment where they just spray stuff all over the place. You know, just anything. They're spraying stuff all over the place, and then when something sticks, they, you know, they grab a hold of it. It's a really interesting study, and then you watch who follows them, and, you know, on the social end, and how they're sharing, and, you know, the high fives and how they're doing it. All of it is a really, 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 really interesting psychological, and not only that, like all the data, like we can get all the data on who follows who, and you know, who are the good, who are the bad, and who their actual followers are, and, you know, what type of person, you know, does that person buy Tide that follows that, you know, not that we would do that, but I think you get the point. So that's why I'm screaming from the rooftop a little louder now, because this baby just cracked right up. Just throwing air in it. That was fun. Sartaj had fun with that one too. Because, you know, people don't see what's behind the scenes. Behind the scenes, it's pretty complicated, you know, pretty complicated geometry we're working on. We just don't talk about it. Okay, so I think that's the general idea of where we're going here. So anyway, I don't mind pressuring, you know, folks that don't like winning, because I don't want a trading room that doesn't win. I just don't. I don't need the members. I love the members. I need the members because I want to give back. That's it. I don't need the members to, you know, pay for my new shoes this month. I need members because I'd like to go out actually having given back what I know, and what we know is a lot more than we show right now. I'll just, you know, be straight up about that. And I think maybe this semester has learned that you know, there's a little more under the hood in this car that we're building that we're showing. You know, and if, you know, you haven't figured that out, you know, the world's going to figure that out fairly soon, as long as, you know, we don't die in a plane crash or something, or earthquake, frankly. earthquakes. There's 5 years of an earthquake coming from the prairies. Okay, SPWR, error couldn't compile script. So it did come up, and it did, pretty much go to exactly where I said it would come up within 5 cents. So it, it blew through the top a little bit of this extension, but yeah, play. I don't expect this one to slow down anytime soon. It didn't roll through the bull or through our play. Once it gets up over the 200 and it does what it's doing right now, I call that the bull. So there's some terminology that I use that isn't conventional. That just comes from my training. Anyway, up through the 200, comes back, tests the 20, tests the 200, and goes again. This, as far as I'm concerned, is the bull. On the other side of the bull, on the left side, so it got up over as far, of its bull here at 9, whatever it was, 950, and it took off, and, now it's getting into that gap area. So that's what I'm really watching for there. This is probably, this is near my biggest watch right now, even though it's a smaller stock. I mean, I prefer something in the $20 range, but, it's big enough that I can work with it, and it's got enough liquidity. So like the ETFs, the ETNs, the reason why I like trading liquidity over somebody that works with the technicals and stuff. It just gives you, versus local. So I think you get the point. So we've got crackling mic gain. Thanks, Tracy. Sorry. Okay, I'm going to shut off some equipment here. Power down, power down, power down. How's the mic now? Anything back? No good? Sorry to be a process of elimination. There's a lot of electronics in here. Cable on 2 seconds. How am I doing now? Nice. Okay, I'm absolutely convinced it's not all the electronics in here. I thought maybe it was because there's air conditioners, there's lamps, there's computers, there's Wi-Fi things and stuff. I'm convinced it's the social media that's on this computer, like at any given time. I was getting heavy messages on most of my platforms. It's no good. Yeah. So maybe not, but I think that's what it is. Yeah. And you know what? I was getting Facebook messages. So yeah, social media. See, social media is bad for everything. It's all bad. Anyway, okay, I'll get off my ranting. It's 12:29. It's 10:29 somewhere. SPWR in the bull, coming up into the gap. Love it. One of my biggest watches. One of the best. So I don't know if I don't think I have any alarms on this right now. So, yeah, no, let's see. Maybe I do. Crossing. Yeah, well, that one's not going to work. Let's set one real quick. So I'm convinced that this one's going to get up to the bowl and go. Tracy, how you make a note on SGMO? I haven't looked here today. Is that coming along or? Surveillance, yeah, no doubt. It's not even an argument whether or not they watch us anymore. They watch everybody and everything. Well, that's good. Okay, now, so no more ranting. SPWR, we've established the fact that Kurt really likes this one, and he's putting it on record on video. Okay, SRG. This one's risky in my opinion, but I really like the risk reward potential. I explained that this morning. Netflix, I'm holding. Maybe I should take my profit, hey? I don't know what to do here. I'd require getting on social media. Let's leave it. Got to live a little sometimes. Gold, looking for over that white line there, 1248.47. That's roughly what's going on. I've got other stuff, and you guys can look at, you don't need to hear about my stuff. Okay, so I'm going to leave all these up because these all apply to this afternoon. So hopefully I don't get throttled too heavily here on the internet. We are going to look at the movers on the day. Let's get a feel for what the market's doing. This has helped me more than most things that I've learned to do in the markets, and that's just reviewing these every day. It gives me a really good feel for what's going on, the way charts are setting up. The reason why is that charts know first. Why do charts know first? Because people know first. Not people like us. We don't know first, but they know first. Because I used to work on the markets, and I know people know first. And I know that it's impossible to keep things quiet. MBRX. Looking decent. Doesn't have the history though. And without a history, I hate trading stocks. But some people like this kind of thing. So where it's 200, just so you know. EDUC. EDUC. Oh, look at that. Same thing. Are we going to have a bunch of this today? That would be neat. EDUC, Educational Development Corp, up over its 200, following its 20 over the 200. Doesn't respect the 200 real well. Oh, interesting chart. A lot of traders like this. I personally don't. It's not my thing. I do that falling wedge is pretty predictable, but it's just not my thing. It's not the way I trade. It doesn't really respect the 200 well. It's just not my thing, but it's definitely bullish. Netflix, that's my wiener. Ah, that's a beautiful chart on the daily. Okay, JCTCF. By the way, last earnings I held, not Netflix, Google and Amazon. Boom. This time I held Netflix. Okay, JCTCF. I do some fundamental research. I just don't talk about fundamentals much because that's not my expertise. Same kind of thing, doesn't really respect its 200, same kind of chart. Look at that. Didn't quite have the falling wedge, but it definitely had the flags. Very bullish. Interesting how the same setups play through. Same theme of setups. Okay, how we doing here? That's just a horse. Other than the fact that it's got its 200 now. But see, again, same thing, no history. Is this the same chart we looked at? Did that just happen? Or was that MBRX? Look at that. Interesting charts. So there's a theme here. QDEL. Now, why do I know this one? I know I have not traded it, but I know this one for a reason. Did I study it? Same thing. Junky 200 up to its 200. Bullish, but junky. I mean, junky and careful with your words. Junky in the way that, like this, junky. In terms of, is it clean through the process, through the setup process? Junk. CAW, this is something I've traded in the past. Trades like crap. These are all stocks that handle the 200 the same way. Very interesting how that happens. So interesting. So the question is, does this happen because the machines, I don't know how to explain it. This one's a little different than the rest of the group. That one doesn't fit the theme of the day. This one does. Almost perfect. A lot of these are tradable. A lot of them are bullish. They're just not my thing. Rosetta, be very careful with Rosetta. Oh, now we're getting into the Rosettas and the Cubacks and the yeah, that group of gurus. Love those. Pran. Why am I so hard on the gurus? I'm hard on a lot of them because because I'm the one that hears the stories. Interesting chart, this LFUS. They all have, not all, but they all have issues. But they're bullish charts with issues. That's the way to summarize what I'm seeing today. This is just a trending stock, period. Swing traders love this, except for the fact that there's really not much margin here to work with. But that's, swing traders guru dream come true. Because somebody that runs a swing trading platform, all they have to do is find those trending stocks and and go with them, right? And they always look like a hero. But it's, you know, are you killing alpha and by how much? Why not kill alpha every day if you can, instead of yearly, or at least weekly? If not, how about once a quarter, you know? AAOI. So this is continued. It's still on my watch list. It's an absolute breakout. I got out of it. I had a gut feeling it would still run. But, you know, I take the middle. That's my, you know, that's my thing. Well, you know, what do I do? I like it from, like, now from a day trading perspective. What happened? Why didn't I get an alert? MACD. Oh, the MACD's on its way. Oh no, that's the 5 minute here. Let's look at the daily. What happened? MACD crossing AOI. What? Oh, I see. Yeah, it wouldn't have crossed today. That alert's not worth anything. So, yeah, darn it. I could have day traded this today. Mind you, I had my ads full. Let's just set a quick alert on price action here. Shoot. I'll come back to this one. All right. Got 9% today. Mind you, or 7%. I was so busy. Yeah. Anyway, I like it. And what else we got here? It's too bad. When I first opened these charts, I thought to myself, "Oh, we might really have something here today." Yeah. Darn it. Thought we had some. What a lot of people do is they'll start calling the bottoms too. That's another group of folks. And then of course, you know, 1 out of 6 or 7 of them hit. And then, you know, they go on hero patrol. I just think being more pointed about what you're doing it's harder work. It takes more homework. This is interesting. It's still not great. A lot of range there, boy. I mean, it's the same idea, right? It's just out of the group, this is a fairly interesting one, in my opinion. Especially that squeeze momentum indicator. You see it was downtrending and then boom, it's got really bright green. It's got some decent volume, 3 or 4 days. Good candle up over the 200. Kind of like this one. It's not great. I mean, it's like a 6 or 7 out of 10, but it's better than a lot of them. Entertainment production. Yeah, I also like trading ones that I can confidently hold overnight or over the weekend or whatever, and not even worry about stops. You know, even though it's proper discipline to have your stops in play and all that, but you know, stuff that I can go to bed easy on. that is a skill, you know, to find those type of plays that still get you a return. That isn't easy to do. It requires a certain kind of setup. There's a lot of dynamics go into that. So sorry guys, we're not finding charts here. Reed posted a few last night that were fairly decent. I have some on my watch list here too. Yeah, this is the slowest the internet's been for, well, since I got fiber. My computer might just need some cleanup here too. Yeah. I mean, it didn't even fight through the MAs properly here. Came off that 100 real fast. I'd be very suspicious at TTOO. I'd be very cautious. So let's see. Yeah, darn it. So right when we got into it, I thought we were going to be okay here. Well, I'm going to take a look at oil and gold real quick too, and the dollar. Yeah, I just can't get behind these ones today, unfortunately. I mean, this one isn't bad. And who knows, right? It could go. You know, that area of 1450 is going to be its challenge if it gets up there. And then it'll be whether or not it goes from there. But it's got earnings. Or did it just have its earnings? Look at that. Yeah, I just can't get behind those. They're just not, you know, they're all like zeros to sixes kind of thing. Okay, so a couple quick things on gold, oil, and the dollar, and then if you guys would like to look at anything. Wow, I was totally encouraged there right at the beginning. So much for that. Okay, so gold. There's gold in them there hills. We see 2 time cycles completing, one later this week. So that can happen anytime between now and then one September 9th. The one September 9th is very large. This one's moderate. But that's typically where you'll see volatility and increased volatility, and then you also see, you know, your metals wake up to the up or downside. So that's why we're timing gold around our launch. And you can see it in the chart. I mean, it's coming up to its significant resistance. Shoot. So up over the 200, 20's under price. It's going to test the 50 there. The 50's sitting right in here. So it's going to test the 50 when it tests resistance. So somebody had DM'd me about the resistance I had on SPWR earlier today that I mentioned, and how I knew that. And I won't say the person's name, but because I haven't asked for permission, but we have had a few people notice my calls on the day trades and stuff in terms of resistance and where I'm buying and where I'm getting out and stuff. So there are some folks that have been watching very closely. So we are testing algorithms on our day trades and swing trades, just so you know. So not specific to equities, but specific to methodology. The trade setup we've been working on. And the other one is for momentum plays and the extensions, right? So when I called the extension on SPWR, I just knew what the extension was. How did it ever come off? Wow, interesting. So it's retreated back from that gap test. Anyway, so I'd called it, and when you call it within 5 cents on a momentum stock like that, that extra 5 cents, that's to be expected because that's the blow through, right? The market always overextends to the top or the bottom. But I'm just explaining that's how I did it quick, because I did get a very pointed question about how I calculated that, and so I can't answer it because we're working with simple math extensions on an algorithm for that, and that's how I did that. So this is interesting. This is the gold chart coming up on the 50. So the 50 is sitting around 1247.15. So it's gotten fairly close today, up against what I see as resistance. But it does have its 200. But the biggest thing about gold is that it's got its MACD. So if you do your simple, the best thing, in my opinion, when you're trading anything, is to find the simplest. Indicator for the equity or whatever it is that's consistently right. So you're working with probabilities, right? So you do your historic. That's why I don't like charts without history. And in this case, it got divergent from history, and then the big thing with this one is the MACD with gold. It's the MACD is one of the most telling things on gold indicators. If you just traded the MACD, your ROI would be secondary, or you'd beat alpha many times over. So, it's crossed. That's just the bottom line, it's crossed. Now, can it fail? Sure, it can fail. But it's not normal for it to fail, the MACD. So the MACD says it's going up, is the bottom line. How far? No idea right now. We have our ideas of extensions, but so timing is interesting from a number of different perspectives. The time cycle we see this week concluding, which is very moderate. The MACD, the natural resistance, the 200, that important. The divergence on history. So somebody had asked me in the free trading platform, like, what or how I'm not sure where that was, how I expected to double my account in 30 days trading gold. And I didn't say I expected to, I said it's my goal. So I shoot for the stars and try and land on the moon if I can, or at least on my feet. So the dollar is down, obviously, yes. Oil, it's the same way with its MACD, in that it's one of the more predictable trades with oil. Oil's also got some fairly nice trend line resistance and support. It's also got its MAs, but the MAs, you got to be careful with commodities and currencies and stuff with MAs. They don't really help you. I mean, they're a bit of a guide, but you can't rely on them the same way as you can with a lot of equities. But again, you check history. So oil itself came off earlier today. It just missed the target. Well, it's a 430 target today anyway, so it can definitely go back up to that target. It's been pretty predictable. Last night, if Matt's in the room, he'll remember I put a message into the oil room that I was looking for up before down. And so up is played out, but I'm even thinking we might get more up. I guess it depends on 430 today. So the MACD, is up on oil. That started trending here, the MACD. It's not great, but anyway, it's under its 50, but MACD is up, and MACD is a considerable bellwether for oil. The stock RSI though is turned down, so you got to be careful. Squeeze momentum's turned down, so and that's to be expected at that 50-day test. I mean, sure, it could turn back down, could happen, but I was just from the chart, I was looking at the 52 range. So that's oil, and then the dollar real quick. I tend to just go back to that MACD on a lot of stuff. Sure, some of these day trades and stuff that you're never going to hold. If I'm not going to hold it, if it's something I won't hold, then I won't do the MACD. Just want to take a quick peek at this here. It's one of the reasons I don't trade natural gas. Natural gas is very difficult from a modeling perspective. Very complicated. We've worked with it, but so here's the dollar. Let's get into current day. So in between about 94.50 and 95.50 is kind of the decision point. Anything under that 94.50 for any amount of days, 3 days, call it, and it's it's a complete short. But we're watching close. It don't forget it did something very similar here, right? And it had the big tail, and off it went and ripped the shorts to shreds. Yeah, so the MACD is the indicator on it too, of choice in my mind, and it is trending down. So, if you look at a low here, what was the MACD doing at the time? Well, right before the bottom, it was trending up. Then it did trend down quick, and then it trended up again. So it's divergent. So its chances of holding that are very, very slim. And I've got a small play long there that I'll have to bite the bullet on. Pretty much high 90% now that I'll have to bite the bullet on it. And that's another reason we're looking at gold right now, because it just doesn't look like the dollar's going to get anywhere. So yeah, those were 3 that I wanted to look at quick. And of course, I'm going to look very seriously at all the metals here come the next few days because of that confirmation we're seeing. And I'm not going to get into the carry trade and all kinds of stuff. I'm simply going to trade the metals. So that's what I wanted to look at. I guess there was just one quick second here. I've taken up the whole hour, but that's okay. We'll stay over an hour if we have to. What was it? there's HIIQ, SRG, AAOI. IPXL, love it. PTLA, Apple. Let's take a look here. Got miners quick, and then if you guys have any you'd like to look at, great. If not, see if we can't get a play here before 2 o'clock. Starting at 2 o'clock, I just won't be able to trade unless it's something fantastic. So this is interesting. So it's coming up on its it's definitely like anything else. I mean, how often is the MACD not a great indicator? You know, wide view, right? As just a general idea of what's going on. So that support held. You know, that's actually a bullish chart. It doesn't have its 200. Doesn't mean it's not bullish. It is actually a bullish chart. It is indecisive at the same time. So it could go either way. It really doesn't matter to me which way it goes, because I'll just jump on the right side. But my trader bias is it's going to get going to the upside. That's my bias. Okay, any charts you guys want me to take a look at? Room's really quiet today. Maybe I'll be happy I didn't get out of that. SRG, oh yeah, right, it's holding up. 47.05, yeah, that's decent. That's cool. So it did hit 47.29 today. Wow, that's bullish stuff. You look at a daily chart on that one, and you'll see IMGN, sure, Todd. Okay, IMGN is one that we cover on our swing trading platform. Shoot, I just hit the wrong button. And what I remember, I was really close to an entry here. Interesting. So it's off 4.5% almost. Yeah, okay, so this is our setup. The first part of the setup, of course, is moving through its MAs before the 200, then through the 200, and then the third part of the setup is when it tests its MAs or the 200 and then goes again. And then the next part of the setup is up through the bowls or into the gaps and out of the bowls. It's sitting on support right now, just so you know. It's a test between support and resistance. So one thing that you'll find, because of the MAs, that your legs in here will typically be 5 or 6. You know, and it really depends how you count them too. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can almost make an argument for 5 or 6 above the 200, right? So it's a little long in the tooth, and it's probably going to come back a little bit, but I love it. So I'm just waiting for it to bounce off an MA. Now, it bounced off of something here, probably natural support, instead of an MA. So you got to watch for that too. Yeah, so, well, yeah, I guess there's an argument. But anyway, I personally would wait for that MACD, that stock RSI for sure at minimum, and the MACD and that squeeze momentum to turn up. Squeeze momentum is one of the more predictable indicators on the market, but for sure this MACD. So let me just check and see if I have an alert on this one. I do not. Yeah, it's probably going to test. I don't think it'll test further than the 50, but I think it'll be the 50, just above the 50. That's my suspicion. So as far as an actual alert, I'm just going to go with a price action alert here for now. See how this thing does here. Yeah, that's about all I can tell you about IMGN. It's just a perfect little setup. It's a little far in. I like taking it after it's got up through the 200, come back and test it and goes on the first round. Because then I'm 1 time in, 2 time in, 3 time in, 4 time in, and maybe 5 times in. And as I get to the top of each one of these, of course, nobody knows where the top is, but you can move that daily chart down to the hourly and sell on your hourly indicators turning down. And that gets you pretty nice action on the ones that come up over the 200 that have a chart history for things to set up properly. Because you know, a lot of the chart histories are just junk, and it would be really hard to do that. But even with the setup over the 200. So I'll have to clean the computer out before 2 o'clock here too. But entries are critical. Like I mistimed. I think I mistimed the entry in this. Maybe I didn't. But anyway, yeah. So that's Netflix. Anything else you guys like me to take a quick look at? Okay, so you're thinking, so you're looking for a long on that, Todd, IMGN. It's always good, like when you ask me to look at a chart, by the way, give me anything you can on your thesis, or if you're holding it, or what you're thinking of doing. Yeah, the problem is you got a resistance kind of rate. You do definitely have resistance, no doubt about it, in the 680 area. But you get up into that gap, so what are you going to get in there? It wouldn't be a bad trade. It's not the best gap in the world, but yeah, I'd wait for an MA, for it to bounce up on an MA. And that support there at 551 is probably one, you know, fairly near there. It's going to run into its 50 because it's bullish. It'll probably take off early. So probably, 575 or so it'll take off if it gets going in that range. 575, $6. Hey, Leanne. So, Todd, what's your entry on that one, if you don't mind? Like when I ask you guys these questions, you don't have to answer to. You can just say it's, it's private, confidential. Some ways it's pretty easy to hurt my feelings, but in most ways it's not. 650. So you're right at that mark, I think. Yeah. No. You're at an interesting place because you're right between decisions there. It's basically like you're right at the pivot line. This next little while here, between where it's at right now and where it stopped, it's kind of a decision. Pivot. It's a pivot point. And I won't get into that right now, but yeah, I like the chart though a lot. Now I'd go through history too. 1, 2, 3, 4. See, history might not be on your side. Well, this one's tricky. It's definitely a tricky player. Just the way it trades. See, it's got a few, like, man, that 9 to 12 area is beautiful. Gets up over 9 and go a long ways. Yeah, this one, there's like a whole bunch of indecision in here. Bunch of bull bear issues, like just a ton of them. On the short term, the stock RSI is down, so it's not the right time to sell, to get out. The right time is when stock RSI is up to sell. It's the right time to buy if you're, if you're going to play that area. But I think you're going to be fine. But that's, that's a gut feeling. MACD's on its way down though. Squeeze momentum's on its way down. I think it's going to test near the 50. I think it's going to test in that. If I had to guess, it's going to test around 570 to 580 on the 20th to 24th. Oh, it's got earnings. So that kind of changes things too. It might get going here a lot faster than that. I wouldn't panic though, even though it might look rough, because you have so much of an extension in here. It could get a bit volatile to the downside. But you got earnings coming. So that's 10 days from now. Yeah, the clock's running out on you too there. Wow. Yeah, it's unusual for me to be that double-minded when I look at a chart. It's just not the right entry. You wanna wait till it bounces, take the entry. If it fails, and time it so that your entry, you get the power part of it. So think price. Sorry, I just had to read a DM there. PTPT, risk reward. So price, trigger, power, trade, reward. Price, trigger, power, trade, reward. Risk reward. But that's something we're going to cover anyway in masterclass. But yeah. Okay, any other charts you want me to take a peek at? SPWR. Super cool. Yeah, you should be okay in that one, Todd. It's just a matter of, you know, what your risk threshold is and your time frame. Real quick on SPWR. You know, your 1, 2, buckle my shoe, call it 3. You're 2.5 in. SPWR it's a great setup. Like your first order of business is up into there, at 13.5, and then into the, man, like 13.25, 13.5 or so, then 15.30, and then 18.90. Just nice. Really like it, but it's got to get in there. It's the same thing as IMGN as far as getting in there. It's just that SPWR, in my opinion, the chart's set up earlier in the bull process. So that's to the benefit, right? Because it's better to be 2 or 3 legs in than 5 or 6 in the bull. Where can it go from there? That's something we could work on when we're doing our fib extensions and stuff. So yeah, in those master classes, you guys are going to be able to, there's no hurry with those. You can ask as many questions as you like. And if it takes me 40 sessions, it takes me 40 sessions. It doesn't matter how many sessions it takes us to get through it all. And there'll be a theme around each session. And I'm actually not publishing an itinerary in advance because it's really dynamic right now. I'm getting so many different requests that there's lots of stuff that we never thought of, and even just structuring, you know, the way you're going to do things based on the questions and the responses. Okay. Yeah, as far as power hour is concerned, I'm not sure. It could, yeah. Okay, I'm going to be back for 2 o'clock. I've got to clean up my computer and do a few other things. Oh, I'm not going to be able to clean up the computer here. Yeah, I'll do a reboot right before we start masterclass this afternoon. So I'll leave it on for now where it is, and then yeah, we'll do that. You know, smart money, what they do in this scenario is quite often, you know, they'll buy at the bottom of this candle because if you can get an entry like that, but it's not on an MA. That freaked me out, you know, that it didn't bounce off an MA here. It's just straight momentum. That was part of the reason why I cut, by the way. So if you look, you know, like there's off the 200, off the 200, off the 20, those you can have a lot more confidence in. But when you're that extended over the MAs, you know that it's going to return to the MAs, but you know, chances are it's, you know, going to do the same thing it did before. And look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 days in, it goes up. You know, so if it does what it did before, it's got 3 days, and then it's going to have a down to the 20 MA or the 50 or whatever, and then go again. And then it'll be the next one that probably gets into that gap. But that's just based on, you know, what it's done in the, you know, it's historical and Sesame Street, right? What doesn't look like the other. Okay, so I'll see you guys at 2 o'clock. Thanks.